Hello and welcome to another episode of The Living Philosophy. Today's episode we're going to talk about the phase on the hero's journey from Joseph Campbell's Hero with a Thousand Faces called Atonement with the Father. You'll know this stage very famously from that scene in Star Wars where Darth Vader says to Luke, "I am your father." It is Luke's meeting with his actual father, having grown up without knowing his parents and without knowing his background. So this is the phase of the hero's journey where the hero meets the old king, meets his real father, his true father, and finds out his identity. And it gives him his real importance. But we see in Luke that it's a distance. Yes, he realizes he's from a very powerful, important family in the galaxy, but then on the other hand, his father is an evil dude. So it's the mixed bunch that comes with that. And so Luke has to take even more of the heroic energy into himself and to become the full hero himself. And it's a great map over because what happened was George Lucas took the book of Joseph Campbell's The Hero with a Thousand Faces and he wrote the story of Star Wars section for section. So it's a direct. It's the most perfect telling of that heroic archetypal pattern that there is. Well, now there's many more books and movies and TVs written in that exact pattern. But today I want to explore what Campbell says about it, and there's a very interesting dichotomy and a very interesting lesson for us within that, because he talks about two stories of this atonement with the Father. And it's a very interesting caution on unearned success and the dangers of success. And it really does tell you a lot about human psychology. The first story is from the twins of the Navajo tribe. So these twin brothers, they go to find their father, who they're told is the sun. So they go to the house of the sun over the sea beyond the edge. And in that house, the sun is out at the time, but there are two women in the north, two young women in the north, two young men in the south, and in the west is an old woman. And the two young women come along, they take the two twin brothers and they wrap them up in these blankets and they put them away in this corner. And later on the sun comes in, brum 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 barum, and slams the door, throws up his coat, and then he's like, who are those two humans that I saw coming in here a while ago? And the mother then the lady in the west then says to him, well, you told me you weren't staying with any women abroad. Well, who are these that are your sons that come here to our house? And he says, they're not my sons. So he finds the two lads and he rips them out of the blankets, and picking them up, he fires them off these spikes on the western wall, and the turquoise spikes, I think, and then he takes them up again and he throws them off some spikes in the shell, but both times they manage to not get impaled because they have these magical feathers that they can fly backwards, or they can nullify the force of the throwing. And then he throws them off the eastern wall and off the northern wall, and they manage to survive all that. And he says, I still don't think they're my sons. And so he puts them through another trial. He gets them into this sweat lodge and he turns the heat up massively, but the winds conspire to help them, and the winds come into the sweat lodge and they create a pocket of cool air around the boys so they can survive that. And he says, okay, these are my sons, and he sits down to smoke a pipe with them. But the pipe is poisoned. But this little caterpillar warns the two boys that the pipe is poisoned, and he gives them something to put in their mouth, and so they smoke it, and then they're able to survive that little trick. And then the son goes, okay, you got me, you are my sons, what is it I can do for you? And that is the story of the atonement with the Father, because what happens is the Father tests you. It's a tempering, and you notice at the end there he says, what can I give you? What can I offer you? What help do you need? So he is a bountiful gift giver once you've proven yourself to him. And it may seem like there's a cruelty in that behaviour of the son, in his trucking you off the walls, in his attempting to suffocate you in a sweat lodge, and his attempt to poison you with the pipe. It seems like this is a horrible, tyrannical father. But there's another story that Joseph Campbell tells, which shows us maybe why that is a necessary part of this journey with the atonement of the Father. And this is a story from Greek mythology about a hero called Phaethon. And Phaethon was an Ethiopian who, again, was also told that his father was the sun, and goes to the house of the sun, and he approaches his father, and his father says, "It's wonderful to see you, Phaethon. Anything you wish you shall have." And Phaethon says, "Well, no one believes that I'm your son, so I'd like to take your chariot out for the day. I'd like to fly the chariot for the day so everyone will know." And the son says, "Oh, I really wish you hadn't said that. You really don't want to do that." So he tries to convince him out of it, tries to talk him out of it. But Phaethon is adamant. He's like, "No, this is the way it has to be. I really want this. You made a promise. You said I could have whatever I wanted. This is what I want." And so the son finally acquiesces. And he says, "Okay, but here's what to do. Hold on to the reins tight. Those horses will take off like bats out of hell. And you've just got to hold on and control them. Don't fly too high and don't fly too low. You don't want to hurt the constellations and you don't want to scorch the earth." And so Phoebus sets off, and immediately as the gates of the dawn fall down and the horses bolt off, the horses immediately feel the weight lacking from the lack of Phoebus on the reins, and now they feel that Phaethon is weakened, so the horses go completely out of control. And we see them marching through the constellations, and they cause Scorpio to reach out and sting, and Ursa Major and Ursa Minor, the bear, they also react and they pull back. And so we find him coming down too low to the earth then, and he comes very close to the earth and he scorches the earth, and especially around Ethiopia, and in Greek mythology that's how the Africans became black, was because Phaethon drove the chariot of the sun so close that he drew the blood to their skin and caused their skin to become dark. So that's an interesting side bit of mythology. But then Phaethon is going on, and then the earth is calling out in pain, and she cries out to Zeus, "See what is happening to the world, see what this kid is doing, strike him down." And so Zeus takes a thunderbolt and he knocks Phaethon out of the sky, and Phaethon dies. And what we have there is an opposite thing. It's an opposite story to the story of the twin warriors of the Navajo, and it's a cautionary tale. So the father in the story of the Navajo warriors, he seems to be cruel. He seems to be very, very harsh and punishing, whereas we see the son in the story of Phaethon is very generous and immediately welcomes his son in and wants to give the son everything that he wants, but the son hasn't earned it. He hasn't earned the gift that the son has to give. And so we see with the Navajo warriors that they earn it. They manage to avoid all the spikes, and so whenever it comes to the point of the son recognizing them and offering to give them anything they want, they are ready for it. They're tempered souls. It's like in the book of Job. For Job to be ready for the experience of God, he has to not get eviscerated. He has to survive the complete loss of all his livelihood and to go through incredible illness, and then God speaks to him out of a whirlwind. And it's a similar kind of thing here. If you want the endlessly bountiful gifts of the Son, of the great Father in the sky, then you must earn them. You must prove yourself. And all this might seem quite abstract in some way, but let's think of the example of a child celebrity, of a child star, and you can see what happens is the trope, even it's become at this point, of the trajectory of the life of a child star is that they grow up to a life of addiction, or it's generally not a good life. That it's a rough life that they tend to have. And I don't know if this is changing, whether people have kind of figured out better ways to raise kids, but I know that certainly a lot it's the common path with child actors, that they end up with rough lives, and that's because they're given the gifts of the sun, the gifts of celebrity and fame, all this massive adulation without having earned it, without having done anything to get to that point where they deserved it. And I guess you could have a complex of unworthiness in that sense. If like everything comes to you, then you will treat everything as if it's nothing, and your life will, like Phaethon, go out of control because the sun, the god, gave you too much too soon before you'd earned it. Whereas you think of those people who work hard, who strive for years, and they overcome so many hurdles on the road to success, and those people, when they reach success, when they finally get to that place, they can be perhaps happier because they have they've worked to that level, they've done something to earn it, and within themselves they can feel that kind of that validity of they deserve it. Again, another example might be lottery winners. Why is it 90% of lottery winners within 3 years have squandered all their money, or in debt? And again, it might be that thing of the Phaethon, the son who's given too much to the child, and the child ultimately burns themselves up and does more destruction to themselves and the world around them. And whereas someone who earns their wealth slowly over the years is more likely to hold on to it. And I think that's just, it's a very applicable part of psychology, because there seems to be a thing of like, if you don't feel like you've earned something or deserve it, then somehow the achievement is undermined and you don't feel equal to that achievement. And so I think this is a very important part of psychology. I think it's something we can all relate to, or at least we can see out in the world. And so it is better to earn the success and the presence in the world, rather than to just have it be given as a terrible gift. So we can see this in Job, and we can see it in the stories of the Navajo warriors, and the sad antipode of those stories in the story of Phaethon. So that is the chapter of the hero's journey that is called Atonement with the Father. This is the point where the hero is finding his boon. He's finding the great gift. And you can map it over onto Bilbo and the Hobbit, and managing to go in and talk to the dragon Smaug, and to trick him, and to talk to him, and to take away some gold and some treasures. Meanwhile, Smaug doesn't know what's going on, or can't quite suss out the Hobbit. And this is where Bilbo earns his stripes. He goes into the belly, and he is tested, and he has words with the dragons whose words can sway any man's heart, and he manages to come away. And that's I guess that's just the beautiful side of things, of like because the hero before and after this experience is transformed, and the experience of the atonement with the Father is to come away feeling like, yes, I've earned it, I am a man of value. You couldn't have just given Bilbo the gold or the stories back in the Shire and told him, here, there you go, that's you did all these things, because that would have no deep emotional transformation. Because the hero's journey is a resculpting of the landscape of the psyche, and that's what's so important about it, and that's what's so poignant about these stories of the atonement with the Father, is the coming away with treasure, but the treasure isn't like necessarily just external treasure. It is that experience of transformation. So that's just what I wanted to cover with you today. I hope you've enjoyed this episode, and if you have, please subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, I shall see you next time. Thanks for watching.